Hello everybody, how are we today? It is gorgeous outside. It's just very hot, so I'm still packing and moving and up, down, stressing every shoulder, hip, knee, foot, joint, everything. But as soon as the sun goes down a little bit, I will sit outside and just to be in nature and just soak it up, play with my beings. So it's been kind of a heavy load moving by myself, meaning up, down, and of course Sunday the truck came and it was supposed to be a 26-foot truck. 3 guys, wound up being 2 guys in a 15-foot truck. So 4 hours was 8 hours, and second trip is this Sunday because I was supporting a local guy that does this on the side. So instead of using a big conglomerate, I chose to support someone local, and so I guess this is part of it. So it will get done. That's the beauty of it. It just takes work. So needless to say, my bacon is aching. And I need more than 1 shower a day because I do not smell like a flower. And that's the way it is. So I wanted to talk about the energy changes and many of us getting upgrades, and you may not even understand that you're getting them. But trust me, you are. So every time stuff bubbles up, flows up, memories, some you'll recognize, some you will not, maybe some old habits, cravings, things like that, restlessness, lack of sleep, too much sleep, just all kinds of things that your body is telling you, hey, I'm going through something. Can you mentally work with me here and allow rest time? So ask yourself when cravings come up or you just have a taste for something. Ask, is this an old program or is this a new program? Is this what my body is really asking me for in this moment? Or is it an habitual past paradigm, reach out and grab? So in some ways, mindlessly attaching yourself to that food or drink and without asking yourself, what is this about? So one of the beautiful questions that you can ask yourself, and I encourage all of you to do it on a regular basis, is when something comes up, no matter what it is, ask, is this a want or a need? And whatever your answer is, then go into it a little deeper. Okay, this seems like it's a want. What is it that my body is asking me that it wants? Is this a mental gerbil wheel, that subconscious thing that can create some sabotaging? Or is this something that would satisfy me on an emotional level? And if I do decide to indulge, am I going to shame, blame, guilt after I consume or do whatever this thing is? So if you feel like you're gonna do any of the shame, blame, all that stuff, then it's old paradigm, old matrix. So the need there is to dialogue and come to an impasse where maybe you could curb that or say, okay, well, if I really want that, I'm going to try it in about another hour. I'm going to get busy doing this. I'm going to hydrate a little bit more. And then if it comes up again, then I will continue with the dialogue and see if I can't get my software system to communicate where I am still in a peaceful, happy state. Or can you have a little bit of it and just maybe allow it to be on your palate longer? Like really just let it sit in the mouth and ask your taste buds to just envelop around every flavor. And how does it really honestly taste before you decide to swallow it? For example, I would probably say since COVID, sweet tooth. So I can't go near like an Amish market or stuff like that because I'm coming out with a pie and I could come out with a cake. Yes. And I don't feel a damn bit guilty about it. I don't. I enjoy it. I let it just sit in there. Sometimes I don't even slice it. I just grab a fork. Yep. It is what it is. But it gets to the point where the sugar becomes toxic. And in being toxic, that means the energy of my body is spending more time getting rid of it versus lightening up my cells with healthy nutrients. So now when I do it, I just do less of it. I just do less of it, and I don't think anything about it. I bless it, change the energy of it, allow it to hit the taste buds on my emotional side, the taste buds on my energetic side, the taste buds on my physical side. Now, one thing I have noticed that has changed is salt. So, you know, when you're traveling, I try to have like protein bars and apples and things in my car. But when I stop to go to the bathroom, sometimes I'm like, ooh, those chips or something look kind of tasty while I'm driving. You know, I don't usually eat those. And so a couple weeks ago when I was making a run with some of my boxes a couple hours away, I got some Doritos, I think it was. And they were so salty, I couldn't even get past 5 of them. So when I got to my daughter's house, she had Doritos because her kids eat it. So the next day I decided to try her bag of Doritos, thinking maybe it was just the batch I bought. Maybe I could buy them again, just looking for that little excuse-itis, as I call it. And they were just as salty. So then 2 days went by, and I decided to go up and get her and I and split a turkey sandwich. And she said, just grab some chips. And I said, sure. So I got them and opened the bag. And to her, they were fine. To me, they were like laden with salt. But it wasn't even the kind of salt like I would taste if it was Himalayan or Celtic salt. Very different. It had, you could tell it had other components in it, and it wasn't even like a Morton's, you know, salt. It had chemical taste in it, and I could taste it. And so I'm like, okay, no chips, no Doritos for me. And we all have to look at ourselves as human beings going through spiritual soul transformation. We're literally transmuting everything. So our body is requiring change. And that takes diligence, and that takes action, and that takes consciousness and mindfulness. So that you can have things around that are healthier to grab if you've waited too long to eat or you're just in the mood to munch. And then of course you got to give that 20-minute full signal to come. So you'll eat something and then people will continue to eat and they'll think they're full at the table, but then within the next half an hour they just feel like a stuffed piñata. And that's a very uncomfortable feeling. So if you go back to the way proper eating really was in some places, is you ate things in courses. So you would have maybe a mild broth soup, not a heavy laden soup that we have now in the restaurants. And then you may have a green, a salad, small plate portion. So by the time the entree, or the heavier part of the meal, whether it be beans and rice, chicken and rice, you know, a steak, whatever it is, you can't consume all the ounces that you would have consumed if you had that plate first. So in certain parts, when they ate in courses like this, you didn't talk while you ate. You spent time chewing your food and enjoying and being grateful and thankful. And then between the first course and the second course, sometimes would be 10 minutes or more. And then you would converse. That's when you would converse, and you would allow that to come down, get the, the stomach juices going, get that all getting broken down and processed before the second course came along. So when we're mindlessly eating or overeating, we're not even chewing properly, and we're trying to talk or multitask. We're taking in a lot of air. So whatever it is that you've eaten truly is not properly broken down for any kind of nutrient absorption, but even to break it down so that the small intestines can take out what it needs nutrient-wise and then flush out the rest to the large bowel, where we know what happens if you're on course. So if you're not on course, meaning regular, movements of those bowels, fun stuff, it gets congested and clogged up because it wasn't broken down properly, or you consume too much of something of a heavier portion versus a lighter portion. So one of the things I do for me is I keep bone broth, and I stopped making it because it was a pain in the you-know-what for me. Just was. So I can get it at certain places that's organic, grass-fed, so on. And I'll freeze them, and then I'll thaw one of the bags out, and there's probably like really 12 to 14 ounces in each one. So if you take a coffee cup, most people would fill that up with soup and have it. I'll just take a half of a broth, warm it up, and I'll sip on it because it's too hot to take with a spoon or anything else, but you have to kind of slurp it. And I don't mean slurp it with like gulps of air, but just like you're slurping it. You know what I'm talking about. Anyway, that can be very satisfying and can sustain me without having anything else until maybe a little later. Now, I also do my best not to eat 3 hours before bed. That's just kind of what I do. And I have an 80-20 rule. So if I'm out or things happen, I've never been one of these people that kick my own ass. I used to say God put my ass on the backside so I couldn't kick it, but it is readily available for other people to kick. And that's the truth. People love to jump out of their bodies and kick somebody else's butt versus taking a look at themselves in the mirror. So that's my whole point about that little kicking your own ass. So the point here is discuss things with yourself as if you're talking and mirroring yourself. Because at the end of the day, you want to be the highest vibrational being on all levels as you can. And you know that, you've got to give it your body the premium that it expects and deserves as your temple. Doesn't mean you got to be all vegan, doesn't mean you got to be all this or that. Just simply bless whatever it is that you're consuming. Because I can tell you what, if you were stranded on an island and all you had was one source of food and it wasn't something you liked or would normally partake of, but you're on that island and you need to sustain yourself, you're going to partake and you're going to bless it. And you're going to do your best to change the energy of it. You see what I'm saying? So I don't go with this whole Leviticus 11 thing. I just don't, because it was written and most likely changed a lot, but it was written for a certain area where certain things were not available. So of course what they're talking about is not necessarily what we would get out of our seas or so on and so forth. So that's a whole other topic. You've got to do what you've got to do to maintain the best in you. And that's your JOB. That's your vow. That's your, your solemn promise, not only to the divine creator before you came into this body, but to yourself and to all your guides, physically and non-physically. So get on your path, folks. Start dialoguing. Is this a want? Is this a need? Is this a craving? Is this an old pattern craving? Is this something I'd like to have new? And don't get all up here. Up here is just gonna, you know what you. And that's an F we don't need to go into, but gotta get out of here. Because that's old paradigm. Because everything that your guilt, shame, blame, and all that, that is old stories that have been handed down and imprinted upon you that you think is part of you, that creates that shame, blame, different belief systems, separation. That's enslavement, my friends. That's enslavement. Cancel, alt, delete, sit, drop, think, feel, ask. And if I can help in any way, reach out. Happy to assist. Because remember, we're all 1 degree of separation, meaning we're all thinking, feeling in each other, although we're all truly, truly one from the creator source. So experience as much as you can and let go of the regrets, because this is just the time. It's just the time to make change, to accept change, to be active and take action with the change that makes you the best you can be in the moment that you're in. Right? So much love and light. Keep it spiritually simple, folks. Can't do it any other way. All right? Bye.